Coach, we all know what some of your big starters on defense look like in games for as seniors. We see them play week in and week out. But what about players like a Derek Atwaters? What do they mean to your defense? We don't see them per se sometimes as much on the field, but what have they meant to your defenses, this being their senior day?
Yeah, well, I think, Derek's one of those guys that has had some bad luck, obviously with the ACL and a pretty bad ACL surgery, and the recovery's been kind of a lengthy deal. He's kind of just now getting back to kind of being himself, but he's a guy that's been through a lot. He's a tough kid. He's stayed locked in, dialed in throughout this whole process. Comes to work with a smile on his face every day, helps out with the younger guys, and a guy that's continuing to get reps for us in practice. The message to him is just, hey, always stay ready, keep getting better, physically and mentally. And you never know when his number might get called. And Derek's a guy that played meaningful snaps for us, the year before he had that injury. And so I think he's doing what he needs to do to keep himself ready. And I can't say enough good things about Derek.
Game planning for Temple, what's jumped out at you about this Temple offense?
Well, I think they're big, physical up front. I think they're very well coached. They give you a lot of problems, formationally, getting the 12 personnel, give you a lot of surfaces, 3-4-man surfaces, move guys around, getting to 11 personnel, do a lot of good things. A young quarterback that manages the offense well, gets the ball to their playmakers, gets the ball out quickly, doesn't take sacks. Ball control offense that I think they're doing a nice job, and I think they're getting a little bit better every week.
Is the key to, like we've talked in past weeks, to be really tough on the run, but also really get a lot of pressure on maybe a younger quarterback?
Yeah, you like to. And, like I said, Scott, he's really good about getting the ball out quickly and seeing those things, and really good for a young quarterback. And, we got to do a great job of stopping the run this week and making sure we keep everything in front of us. That's kind of always our message to our players, and it's certainly going to be a challenge to do that this week.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Atwaters played in 11 of 13 games as a freshman on special teams. As a sophomore, played in all 10 games and had 2 starts before getting hurt that spring going into 2021. Phil Bergman.
Coach, with the new staff at Temple, without giving too much away, what have you noticed about their new offense under their head coach?
You know what? There's some similarities to actually last year's offense. I mean, they're obviously different, but it's the same players, a lot of the same players. And so, from a personnel perspective, when you take over a program, you have an idea of what you want to do. It's the same thing when I got here, but you have to be able to adapt to, who your personnel is. And I think they've done a really nice job, playing to what their strengths are, and then kind of suiting their offense to that.
And I want to touch on Ray Lane. He had literally tore the ball out of the guy's hands last game. Just what type of athlete is he? And just having him out on the field, how versatile is he? Yeah,
he's he's one of the most talented guys we've got on defense, and he shows flashes of doing some exceptional things. Like the play that you mentioned was a phenomenal play. And Ray, like a lot of our young players, just needs to be more consistent with doing things like that and getting lined up correctly, having his eyes in the right place. And I think we've got a lot of guys right now, evidence the last 2 weeks, that are maybe trying to do a little bit too much at times, just dial into their key and reacting off of what they see with narrow focus. And that's the message this week. We've got to execute better. We got to get lined up, have our eyes in the right place. And that's cost us the last couple of weeks. And we've got to coach them better and demand that. And when we do that, we're pretty good. And when we don't, especially when we play good people, we're very average. And so that's the message this week. We've got to get back to the basics, back to 11 guys doing their job, doing their 1/11th, so to speak. And when we do that, we're pretty good.
That's it for now. Thank you.
Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach. I was going to ask a little bit about Temple as well, as far as last few games. You look at their numbers, the pass attempts have gone up, but as you talked on, do you feel like they're a pretty balanced team on what they want to do on the offensive side of the football field?
I do. I think sometimes the pass numbers go up and they might have got behind in a game, and that might have impacted those numbers a little bit. They've been in some really close games. You look at it, and even like the Memphis game, it's close to the very end. Obviously had a really good game, close game at Rutgers. Played Tulsa really well. So they've been in most of their games. And so I think you see a little more throw toward the end of some of those games, but they're balanced. They want to run the ball to set up the pass, but they do a good job. Formation, get you into certain things where, they a lot of good conceptual things in the pass game where they spread you out and some spacing type concepts. And like I said earlier, the quarterback does a good job of distributing the ball where it needs to go and getting the ball to their best players. And so they do a really nice job of mixing up the run and the pass.
You touched on it a little bit, but their offensive line is giving up the fewest sacks in the AAC. You guys have played some really good offensive lines the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
How does this offensive line stack up against some of those?
They're right there with the O-lines we've played the last 2 weeks, I think. I mean, they're really big. I think they're very well coached. Like you said, they haven't given up a lot of negative plays. And I think it's partly because of the O-line and partly because the quarterback does such a good job of getting the ball out when he needs to. And he won't take sacks. Does a good job of, when it's not there, he gets pressured. He's not going to throw it into traffic. He's going to be smart with the football and throw it away when he needs to. So they've done a really good job in that regard.
With the young quarterback, and you mentioned, Temple's always been a team that's pretty physical up front, and they usually like to run the ball. Do you think more than ever this is a big game where you really got to make them one-dimensional, because then you have a young quarterback who you can do some things to confuse and get after him a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. We have to stop the run. And then the thing we always talk about around here is controlling the pass, which means there's certain things you give up in the pass game, certain things you can't give up, and playing inside out coverage and top down coverage and making sure that the ball gets thrown, it's thrown in the spots that we're giving up, and we rally and tackle it. But yeah, we've got to stop the run. We got to control the pass, and we've been able to do that. And teams have a hard time scoring against us.
And from what you can tell on tape, is he much of a running threat? Because obviously we've seen over the last few weeks, when you have a quarterback who can run, it makes it all the more difficult, because it also impacts how if you want to pressure, it's hard to pressure a guy who can run and escape the pocket and hurt you when you're down in coverage. So how's he fit in that mold?
Yeah, he's able to. There's not a lot of design runs for him. When the pocket breaks down, he can get out of it. Not a big runner. Not quite what we've seen the last 2 weeks as a running threat, but has the ability to do so. They play two quarterbacks. When Quincy Patterson comes in, he's more of a running quarterback. He's a big physical kid. A lot of design runs for him. It's almost as if they're in a kind of a wildcat type offense when he comes in, although he can throw the ball. And so I think what they do offensively is very different when he comes in as opposed to when Warner's in there.
Jacob Busick is quietly having a very good season. 5.5 sacks. Strauss, what's the single season record for sacks, or is this a lot over the last few years for Busick?
Springer had, I think, 10 in 2019. It's actually in the notes. It's the most since 2019. It's actually in the notes.
But obviously that strip sack, or whatever you want to call it, sack where he knocked the ball out, was huge. But is he being what you thought he would be?
Yes, and that's actually his second strip sack of the year. I think we set up a score at Air Force, in the same fashion. So, I've been really, really pleased with him, Bill. He's been one of our most consistent players. Plays extremely hard. We're asking him to play a lot of snaps, and for a guy like that to go in and play so many snaps as he does and not have a single loaf in a game is remarkable. I mean, he's doing a great job. Really, really pleased with him. He kind of embodies everything that we want to be about on defense as far as his effort level. He's relentless to the ball. Even I think on that particular play, he didn't get there right away. The quarterback held the ball for a little bit. He kept fighting, kept working against a really good offensive tackle, got off a block, ran to strip that thing. That's kind of been his deal. He just plays a great effort. Technically, fundamentally, he continues to get better and better. And I'm really, really pleased with him.
And I imagine the ceiling's pretty high for he'll be better, right?
Yeah, there's no question. You can tell the difference, year in the weight room and the off season, what that did for him between last year and now, and he'll just continue to get better.
School record, by the way, is 10, set by Tyler Tidwell. Pete Medhurst.
Brian, 7-on-7 has made the wide receiver better than he's ever made him. Guys that are arriving on this level ready to play. And then obviously they get to that pro level. They've never been more advanced and ready to play. At the same time, are you seeing cornerbacks get that same bump, or is it a little bit slower progress for them than it's been for the wide receivers?
No, I think it's similar, Pete. You know what you see because of the 7-on-7s thing is just the timing of receivers and quarterbacks and being on the same page, and the spacing and the concepts has gotten so much better. But the corners and the DBs are getting the same work. But when you go into the 7-on-7 league, you're pretty basic on what you play on defense in the back end, as to where the offensively the concepts are can be all over the place. You're seeing a lot of different things, but quarterbacks certainly I think have improved the most because of that, the frequency that they're getting that kind of work. That's one thing here at the academy. We probably don't get enough of is the 7-on-7 and the 1-on-1 types thing that you might get other places, and so we got to do a great job during the course of the week working with our look guys and our defensive backs. Getting group pass in, those kind of things. It's not necessarily good on good all the time, like you'd like to get at most places.
I was going to say at that same time, as you work with RB and Ryan, because even your safeties now are being asked to cover more one-on-one maybe than ever before. What do you have to do during the course of the week, especially with, the elite route running we're seeing opposite them usually every week now?
Yeah, I think, trying to understand what people are trying to do in a pass game, week to week. You're seeing really good receivers. Where are they going with football? What are their top concepts? Formationally, what do they give away with splits, formations? What are their tendencies, and trying to get our guys to anticipate those things a little bit, and also trying to get us in the best possible coverage, based on what we're seeing, and just showing those guys over and over again the routes that we think we're going to see, the concepts that we're going to see, and making sure that we do as good of a job as we can, giving guys help when they need it, and also trying to take away, to the best of our ability, what offenses are trying to do, where they're trying to go with football. We're not a big man cover team. You got to be able to do that at times, but that's not what we major in. And so the biggest thing for us when we play coverage, when we drop 8, those kind of things, we got to execute those coverages, right? Know where they're trying to go with the football, and so you've got to play zone coverage, some of their match concepts, some of his vision concepts. And so we just got to do a great job of really prepping our guys so they know what to expect when they see certain things.
Is it unreasonable to think that zone is tougher to teach defense than man?
The zone stuff is there's obviously a skill set to it. There's obviously technique to it, but it's a lot more conceptual than if you're playing man coverage. Man coverage is purely, technique. There's some nuances to it as well, but I think the technical part of teaching is probably more difficult when you're playing man coverage. Conceptual teaching is more difficult when you're playing the zone coverage.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll make another trip around. Scott Wyckoff.
I'm all set, Coach. Good luck Saturday.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Phil Bergman.
Coach, we were talking to Nicholas Straw a little about Niumatalolo as a coach. What growth and development have you seen from him as a coach, and what's he like as a coach?
He's done a great job for us. We're really excited to have him on our side of the football. What Va brings to our side of the ball. He's been on the other side, the last couple of years, and so to get a little bit different perspective, does a great job of scouting me and trying to give me an idea of what other teams may be seeing during the week, and going back to self scouting and making sure we're not giving things away or pointing out what my tendencies are as a play caller, which helps me tremendously, and really just anything that we need done on our side of the football, man, he's more than willing and able to do it, and been a great asset to us on defense.
Just looking at the depth chart and seeing a couple new names, or at least it seems that they're new. Maybe I hadn't noticed them on there before, but maybe you could comment on a couple of these kids. RJ Davis, a defensive end, a sophomore. Jacob Greenwood at nose guard. I don't know if Kyle Jacobs been on the depth the whole season. And another new name I see is Cameron Love at corner. Are these guys that have shown you something here in recent weeks than have moved on to the depth, or did I just miss that they've been there for a while?
Yeah, they've been there. They just, I think all those guys are threes on the depth right now. I think, Kyle Jacobs is a guy that has caught our attention doing some really good things. We've got some depth at linebacker. He would be that fifth guy for us that could play both spots right now. So you're really pleased with his progress. He's a good football player, and he's still learning as a young guy. Cam Love's a guy that's got some reps at corner for us, has a nice skill set. And we're, at corner, we're trying to figure some things out right now. So we got a lot of guys getting reps, and those guys are getting better every week. We just got to keep working with them.
So a lot of those guys I mentioned that are third on depth chart type guys, so they work on special teams like Jacob or Turner Step or any of these guys I just mentioned. They help you out on special teams.
Absolutely. Jacob and Turner have both been impactful on special teams for us. RJ and Greenwood, those guys, D linemen, you don't see those guys on a lot of special teams. So those guys are just reserves for us on the defensive line right now.
It's senior day already. Just how excited are you for this moment?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, it's weird having senior day so early in the season. It's like Halloween and it's already senior day. But yeah, I'm super excited, and it's kind of like really hitting, because it's been 3 years of me playing, and it's just like, man, it's finally all kind of really like, this is my last time playing at Navy Marine Corps Stadium, and it's just I'll have a lot more emotions closer to the game, I think. But just thinking about it right now, it's a lot of gravity to that, because I love playing at home. I love the fans in the stadium, but like, man, it's like one last ride there at Navy Marine Corps, and it's gonna be great. And I'm just, wow, it's crazy.
If you were to go back and talk to your younger self about your experience the past 4 years here, what would you tell them?
Man, I would just say, I mean, it's cliche, but just like make the most of every day. I feel like I've tried to do that. I tried to, not take anything for granted, every workout or every sort of sprint, even the crappy stuff. But there's obviously some days where you're not feeling great, where you're just like, oh, I have to go do like a sled workout with Coach Fitz. It's going to be horrible, But just, I guess, really embracing every day, and just every day is a blessing, because one day it's going to end, and it's going to end quite soon, for our senior class, but just really taking every day for what it is, a blessing, and just grinding, getting after it. And I feel like I did that for the most part, but there's obviously some days where like everyone has, off days where they're not feeling the best. But I think that just reminding my younger self that it just would be pretty cool.
Switching gears to Temple, just what's been your message to the defense heading into this game Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to earlier when we weren't playing too well, like after the Air Force game. Just like, don't quit, keep your head down, go to work. Like, we have so much to improve upon. Like, we didn't play our best game on defense, obviously, with Houston, but like, just nose to the grindstone, still have to play for. And also, I mean, it is our last, it's our senior day. It's a pretty easy motivator for the guys too, but just, we have so much pride in this team and so much to play for, and just our defense can be so much more than what we're showing right now for the past couple of games. So that's been like our message, is just getting back to who we are, getting back to Navy defense, just that aggressive, playing downhill, hard nosed. So just, that's kind of like the message to the guys, just know who you are, get back to who you are, and play how we can play.
Thank you.
Scott Wyckoff.
Nick, what makes playing at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium so special?
It's funny. Max Sandlin and I both gave a Kool-Aid to the team during fall camp, just kind of talking about why the stadium is special. I'll give a quick little skinny on that, so I don't talk for too long. But I guess for me, it's both like just, I mean, it's great fans, great base, but even more than that, the stadium stands for so much more than just like a normal stadium, right? It stands for the brotherhood, the guys who've played before us, who've gone before us. It stands for the sailors and Marines who have served in those battles that are all over the stadium, right? You see when you walk into our stadium, all these, conflicts that we've, participated in and won. And it's just like, people gave their lives in these things. We're not just putting them there for show. It's like, it's to symbolize, the very best of us who've gone before and who have given the ultimate sacrifice, which is kind of, I guess, epitomized with our culture, was just, big team, little me, putting everyone else above ourselves. And so playing at Navy Marine Corps Stadium is that. It's just the embodiment of sacrifice and of putting my teammates, the guy next to me above me. And so playing there means that much more. And so I will miss that for sure. And I've loved playing there. And feel one more time there. So it's special there for sure.
What does it mean to you having the opportunity on this senior day to share it with not only your family, but your friends in your company and in the brigade?
Yeah, I mean, it's special because yeah, you're right. Like not just the team. I think like my company mates, it's their last time at David Merkur Stadium enjoying a game, and my teammates. Yeah, it's going to be a special moment, and like I was saying to Phil, it's going to be probably emotional once we get a lot closer to that, and trying to focus on the next step on just beating Temple first before letting all those emotions flood in. But yeah, it's going to be a really big deal and a really big moment, and just I'm excited to go there and get a win one last time at that stadium for the home fans. So it should be good.
And like you say, not to get lost in senior days, the importance of this game at home in conference.
Yeah, it's super important because it's funny. Caniglio always says, play with emotion. Don't let it play with you. You probably got it from Newberry, I think, but just like play with emotion. But if you get too high or too low, like it's gonna play with you, and then you can't play as well as you normally could. And so that's my goal, is to use that emotion from the game to help, play harder. And, when I'm tired, I'm hurt, and just like to push that much further than I can vice letting the emotions, like this moment is so big, it's all this. And then, I'm out of my head playing poorly. So like, that's my goal, is just to really during the week focus on the fundamentals and getting back to who we are and to who I am as a player. And then once the game happens, I have that extra emotion, extra adrenaline, and using that to play better instead of letting it, I guess, control me.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
For sure.
Bill Wagner.
Hey, Nick. So we talked to Kip Franklin yesterday, and he was talking about, you all have very unique memories as seniors because you were right in the heart of COVID, and it rolled into more than just 2020. It was affected, the next year. I mean, you were in the heart of it. What are your memories of your time here at the academy, knowing that you went through a very, no other, there are very few other midshipmen that went through what you did. This is a unique time in history.
Yeah, man, a good memory, I would say, definitely a good unique memory is that, we're in the heart of the season my sophomore year. We just gotten back from SMU, didn't play very well, but the whole, all the travel guys had gotten COVID. So we all go into isolation together. And so we can't practice, we can't do very much stuff. You have Coach Fitz bringing these, kettlebells outside of our doors so we can try and work out, in our free time. And then we'd have I think 40 minutes of outside time a day that we're allotted. We'd have the entire team coming together to play basketball together on the courts as we're isolated away. So I remember I would play against Kevin Brennan. And I was locking him up pretty nicely too. You can ask him, man. But yeah, we were playing, playing against each other, getting competitive. But yeah, those times, man, just showing all this stuff is going on. Middle of our season, you could say it was torpedoed because we're all in isolation right now together, but the guys are still together, still super tight, making the most of it. And then I would go and sneak over to watch practice through the fence. And so, but yeah, that was a great, it wasn't a great time, but it was this funny memory because no other football player can really look back and say, yeah, middle of our season, we were just put into isolation for weeks, not able to go out there and practice with the guys. So yeah, that was a crazy time for sure.
Is it hard to think sometimes? There's not a lot of you left. Obviously it was a very difficult time, and we talked to Coach Nia about that. There was a lot of guys that just couldn't take it anymore and had to leave, and he tried to talk to them, get them to stay, but in the end, he couldn't argue with all their points were valid. It was terrible. But when you look back, there's a lot of guys that you came in here with that are gone.
Yeah, no, and that's been a pretty because you look at the other classes, the juniors and the sophomores and the freshmen, there's so many of them. And then Coach Nima had the seniors standing up in our last meeting yesterday, and just seeing how few our numbers were was kind of oh man, because obviously a lot of guys left, but just seeing the numbers and just how few we are is just man, a lot of guys did leave. But I wish them all the best. And the guys who left, they had their reasons, and they were obviously, like I said, pretty justified because we're going through such a tough time. Just you came here to play football or for the military, that kind of stuff, but nothing was what we expected. You're locked away all your days, just it was not normal. And so I understand why they left. But the guys who stayed are what I really appreciate, because we're just that much tighter and have that much, more of a bond because the shared struggle together of COVID, and just, trying to figure out how to work out with a mask on and just protocols being spread out, but also being, partners together. And just, it was it was so different. But I really do appreciate, because like our class together is so much tighter because of that. Because we all know, like, if we can get through that together, we can get through anything together. So we've done so much in that. Yeah, we're pretty tight now, I think.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Navy football classmates are always, they stick together for life. But you have such a small group of them that it's going to probably be even tighter bond going forward. And I guess you must have immense respect for these guys. And Kip was mentioning fellows like Chris Hutchinson and all the others that are on scout team. And I mean, they've had it even tougher. They've stayed with it.
Yeah, no, that's a huge thing. Like, I mean, I'm glad Kip pointed that out too, because like, imagine just here to play, and then in the midst of all this stuff and COVID and restrictions, and like, not only are you not like playing because of COVID, but like just because you're like on the scout team too, having to help subsidize the offense and help, get them ready. And so like, yeah, those guys have my utmost respect, because it's hard to be a scout team player for all your time here. I mean, it's rough, but those guys are the best guys, like the humblest of guys, to go out there every day and strap it on to help us get better, help the team get better overall, not for themselves, but for everyone else. And so, yeah, man, I have the utmost respect for them for being in that spot and staying in the midst of everything. And they're the best of us, I would say.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, we'll make another trip around. Scott Wyckoff.
Nick, growing up in Ohio and now being in your senior year, playing your final home game, was that a dream of yours, being in a community where football meant so much, to be able to live out this dream now?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would always go to my workouts with my personal trainer back in the day, and just imagine myself like walking out into the field, just seeing the fans wrapping around. So it's every game, actually, I'll just like put my hands like this and just go like that, because before every workout, I was walking there like and do that. Like, I'm walking through a tunnel, then seeing all these fans around me. And so, yeah, it's really been a dream realized. Just, I mean, I've worked since fourth grade to get to this point. To my parents, like, they're not paying for school. Like, I'll get it covered for you guys. And man, just be able to see myself now. Like, I think the younger me would not have believed, like, just the things I was able to do, like to play like this. And just, I mean, this has been a true dream. And I'm definitely blessed, like, for all this stuff.
Thanks.
Phil Bergman.
Nick, just out of curiosity, what seniors on the team would you say you're closest with?
I would say Max Stanley mostly, and then John Brand. Max, because we're in the same room together. We've done a lot of the same, things together, and we're always together. And just, he's my guy, man. We're super tight. And Taylor Robinson too. And then John Brand, because we were the original company mates together. So we had Pleep Summer, and then we're also just like out off the field wise, like best friends. I mean, that's my guy right there. So those are my ride or dies. And there's obviously a lot more guys, but those are my top, like my main ones that I'm pretty close with. And then John Marshall, man, like I love John a lot, and just we go back and forth. But yeah, those are, I keep adding guys, gosh, sorry. But yeah, just there's a lot of great guys. Oh, there's a lot of great guys. But yeah, those are probably the closest ones I would say.
Have you just, I guess, with it being senior day and just kind of rehashing old memories, have you guys kind of at all just talked about some of your favorite moments heading into this week?
Yeah, I mean, I know with somebody not on that list, but Trent Cherokee, me and him would always talk about, like, going through here, we're like, this many fourth quarters left, this many sled workouts left. And then just like, I think I told him last week or 2 weeks ago, I was like, dude, like, that stuff's all over. Like, and these games are taken by, man. Like, this is kind of crazy. And so I know when our last fourth quarter happened this past year, like we were going crazy, just celebrating, because those things are so brutal. But just like, I don't know, like it's the small things, like just the locker room stuff and being with the guys, and just, seeing guys like struggling and puking in the summertime. Just like, it sounds not good, but just like those memories, just like, I'm so fond of those times with the guys, and I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it so much. But yeah, there's so many great memories that I've had with this team and these guys. Just, I love it, man. I'm gonna miss it.
Thank you.
Wags.
So can we, talking about Temple, I mean, young quarterback, do you feel like you guys if you can do what you've done all season and stop the run and make them one-dimensional, you think you can maybe get after this kid, rattle him a little bit?
That's the plan. He's a young quarterback. just disguising a lot of looks, trying to get him off his toes, get him thinking a lot and trying to make reads and then just, then changing what he's seeing, so that's the goal, is just to kind of confuse him, kill the run, make them one dimensional, make them have to pass the ball, and then we'll get after him with pressures and that kind of stuff. So I think that we have a good plan dialed up. I'm excited to go enact it on Saturday and go see how good we can be, because I know the plan that they're developing and plans in place is a really good one. And I believe that we can really get after these guys and get after EJ on Saturday. So I'm ready. I'm excited for it.
So Temple's a team that's kind of always taken pride in being tough and physical. I mean, from what you're seeing on film, are they a team that wants to establish the run first, or really tries to? I mean, is that kind of their forte, or what are you seeing out of their offense, Nick?
I mean, definitely establishing a run game for any team is paramount, because if you can do that, you have so much control over the game. I think that obviously once that goes away, once teams have been able to eliminate that more, if I had to rely on the quarterback to make more plays. I mean, I see the Tulsa game that they played, just like they had to throw the ball because they were down so much. So that makes them one dimensional, and so they had to, press and had to throw the ball a lot. So then Tulsa just brought pressure every play because they saw like this is what they have to do. And so I think that obviously they want to establish the running game. That's a very important thing for them to do. And they are, they're a tough team. And so our mantra is also being extremely tough too. So it's like a battle of cultures and of wills at that aspect. But I think that, yeah, of course, they're going to want to try and establish that. But once we take that away, they'll have to go to the pass. Then we'll have to dial up some good pressure for them.
So one last thing regarding seniors, I was just replaying Kip Franklin's press conference, and he mentioned something that was kind of an inside joke, which I wasn't sure, but he said that on induction day, Joe Petty fell through the Red Sea. I don't know what that means. But do you remember that? What exactly was he talking about? Can you elaborate?
I didn't see that, but
It was Red Beach. It was Red Beach.
Red Beach.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So again, I wasn't there, so I can't like confirm exactly what happened. That's so funny. But anyway, so out in the side of Bancroft, like going from Fourth Wing to Dahlgren, there's like those red tiles, like and similar to the other side too, by the Akron, it's like these red tiles. We call it Red Beach because it's like red.
Oh, okay.
And so, but they do break as things do. And so I'm assuming happened, I'm not confirming anything, is Joe must have fell through one of them, which
That's terrible.
The funniest thing to ever see. I need to call Kip and just get that story. Oh my gosh. But yeah, if that actually happened, not confirming it, if that happened, oh man. So yeah, he probably just fell through one of those things in his white works. He's probably nervous as heck because it's I day, you're all stressed out, and then that happens. So oh my goodness. I can I'll have to figure that out, get back to you guys.
But the reason I bring that up is that amidst all of the struggles and pandemic and isolation and horrible meals in Bancroft, there have been some of these fun bonding things that you guys can look back on fondly.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I think it's that tier 2 fun, right? So like when things are really tough, but you look back on them fondly, it's like that, it's not that initial like, amusement park, this is so much fun, but it's that looking back on it fondly, okay, it was tier 2 fun. I think our class had a lot of tier 2 fun. So there's some funny moments too, of course, but like with these struggles come good, fond memories looking back on that. And I think, yeah, I have memories of Joe Petty catching squirrels barehanded plebe year. I mean, there's lots of crazy things like that, but yeah, we have so many memories together, and I am going to cherish that for my whole life. And like you said, though, we'll be close because we've had so many of these experiences together. So I look forward to that for sure.
Nick, what's Va'a Miyamatalo like as a coach? I see him working with you guys during warm-ups a lot.
Oh yeah, Coach Va'a is awesome. I mean, he's knowledgeable of his craft, and he like just I don't want to say this, like he's like amazingly super nice and super good at what he does. Like I'm a big fan of him. He's worked with me personally on just like one-on-one, like beating these holds that guys are doing, because obviously linemen are taught, if you can hold and get away with it, do it. So how do you beat that and still get a rush in there on the quarterback? And so he's been working with me one-on-one for that stuff, and just yeah, he's a great coach, and I'm a big fan of his, and I love him. And he just comes every day with energy, and just you never see him having a bad day. He probably gets it from Coach Diamont, honestly, because Coach Diamant's the same way, just always comes to work like ready to get better, ready to get us better. And so, yeah, Coach Va'a, I'm a big fan of his, and he just always comes to work ready to go and with a great energy, and all the guys love him. Like no one's not a single player has a problem with Coach Va'a. He's awesome.